You can only communicate and express yourself openly and honestly with another person when you feel in the depths of your heart that the other person has burned their mental bridges and is fully committed to you and this relationship. If commitment is the key to a happy, loving relationship, why do so many people struggle to make this kind of commitment? This brings us back to the issue of self-confidence and self-esteem. You can only like or love another person to the extent that you like and love yourself. And having the confidence to commit and enter into loving relationships is determined solely by your personal level of self-esteem. The clearer your personality and motivations are for yourself and others, the healthier, happier, and less disturbed you will be. How this can be achieved? All psychotherapy and personality development are based on the simple premise of self-disclosure. You understand yourself to the exact extent that you can explain what you are thinking and feeling to another person, to the extent that you can express it in words when you feel secure enough in another person to relax and tell them what is going on in the deepest recesses of your mind without fear of rejection or criticism. Only then do you fully understand that dimension of your personality. Only then will you be free and happy in that area. In psychotherapy, it is generally accepted that the reason a person is unhappy is because there is something they are not dealing with. As soon as the person can honestly discuss their problem with at least one other person, they are free from much of the negativity associated with that problem. That part of their personality moves from hidden or unknown to known, meaningful, and relevant. Self-disclosure leads to higher levels of self-awareness. You accept yourself with flaws and all, and stop worrying about your shortcomings. When you accept yourself, you begin to like and then love yourself. Your self-esteem increases and you consider yourself a valuable, important, and worthwhile human being. With high self-esteem, you are not only ready to move towards peak performance in your activities, but you also become a warm, positive, and loving person and begin to attract into your life others similar to you. All your relationships improve. The more of yourself you can honestly reveal to another person, the more self-aware you become. Instead of suppressing or repressing your true thoughts and feelings, you can let them out and see more of who you really are and more of what is possible for you. Greater self-awareness, in turn, automatically leads to greater self-acceptance. The more you know about yourself, the more you accept yourself as a valuable and worthwhile person. The real goal in personality development is for you to reach the point where you unconditionally accept yourself. You become a more popular personality and become more sensitive and aware of the needs of others. As your self-esteem increases, you stop worrying about yourself and begin to truly enjoy life and the company of others. The quality of your love relationships dramatically increases, like mercury in a thermometer on a hot day. A truly loving relationship with someone you are completely compatible with is exactly what every person needs to complete themselves as a human being. This is exactly what is needed to achieve and maintain a high level of self-confidence. Each previous session of this program contributes in some way to long-term relationships. For example, when you establish your values and organize them in order of importance to you, and then commit to living your life according to those values, you are going through a process that leads to greater awareness, greater self-acceptance, and higher self-esteem. You're laying the groundwork for true self-confidence. When you set very challenging goals that push you to the outer limits of your capabilities, and then wholeheartedly commit to achieving them, you raise your level of self-esteem and self-confidence and keep them high as long as you can. We are progressively working to achieve something that is important to you. When you commit to lifelong learning, becoming competent in your field, and then achieving mastery in your chosen area, you are, by the law of indirect effort, becoming a more positive and attractive person. As you take full control of your mind and keep your words, thoughts, and mental images consistent with the best person you can be, you activate all mental laws and create within yourself a tremendous sense of well-being. Firstly, men and women are clearly different from each other. In the practical and material world, they may have similar goals and objectives, but in the personal and subjective world, men and women have completely different motivations, desires, instincts, and ways of viewing life and relationships. Some of these are obvious and others less so. To survive and thrive with the members of the opposite sex, it is very helpful for us to appreciate some basic elements. Men, for example, tend to be more direct, practical, and left-brain oriented or linear in their thinking. This generates a constant flow of energy and self-confidence. As you become better and more capable of getting along with a greater number of people, your confidence and ability to interact effectively in all your human relationships increase. You stop being afraid of new situations involving different people. At each step of this program, as you apply the lessons, you are building yourself brick by brick into the kind of person you truly want to be. Now let's talk about some of the differences between men and women and how these differences often lead to misunderstandings and communication breakdowns, which are so important for our mental health and happiness. They have more testosterone hormone and as a result tend to be more aggressive in their life orientation. Men tend to be more competitive and work-oriented, constantly comparing their achievements with those of other men. They often strongly identify with their work and link much of their self-concept to their occupations. The extreme version of these standards is called type A personality. The type A personality is so absorbed in their work that they think very little about anything else. They feel like they are on a treadmill or in a rat race. They have what's been called a time urgency sense. They have more and more to do and less time to do it. They rarely or never take vacations, and if they do, they take their work with them. They are extremely aggressive and hostile towards those they feel they are competing with, even their family if they demand more of their time. They're obsessed with their boss and constantly talk about what he did and said and what he might be thinking. The true type A man, in the extreme case, is more oriented towards things than people and begins to take his personal and family relationships for granted. They have what's called a compulsive negative habit pattern rooted in a deeply ingrained fear of rejection and a sense of unworthiness stemming from experiencing conditional love from their father. The type A's concern for their work becomes a major sore point at home because it simply does not seem rational or reasonable to their wife. They often say they do what they do for the sake of their wife and children, but they disagree and wish he would work less and spend more time with them. Naturally, the question rises, if everyone wants a happy and loving relationship, why do so few people, as they themselves admit, manage to get it? Why are so many people single, lonely, unhappy, or have empty and unsatisfactory marriages and relationships? Why do people not have the love they want and need in their lives? And more importantly, what are the specific things you can do to dramatically improve the quality of your love relationships? The law of correspondence says that your outer world is simply a reflection of your inner world. Good evening, everyone. Tonight we start one of the most important and rewarding trips of our lives, making our couple relationships stronger. In the busy world we live in now, with all of our tasks and problems, our relationships with our partners often take the lead. They are what our emotional health, personal growth, and shared goals really depend on. Tonight, we're going to talk about the keys, those important ideas and plans that can make our relationships better. It's not enough to just get by or do the daily tasks together. The only way to be truly happy is to build a relationship that cares for, supports, and inspires both people. Come with me as we explore useful tips and timeless ideas that can help us build and maintain healthy couple relationships. Let's find out together how talking to each other, understanding each other, and respecting each other can lead to greater intimacy and lasting happiness. As we think about these ideas, let us keep in mind that the path to a happy relationship is not a fixed point, but an ongoing process that needs commitment, understanding, and a desire to grow. Let's go on this life-changing journey together and find out how to make a relationship that not only lasts, but also grows. Just be nice. You can practice acceptance by taking the other person exactly as they are, without suggesting that the other person needs to change their appearance or behavior in any way. You can practice appreciation by thanking the other person for every little or big thing they do or say that pleases you. Be sure to admire the positive qualities and attractive possessions of the other person. Be generous in expressing praise and approval for anything the other person does that is worthwhile. Praise and approval increase a person's self-esteem and make them feel more valuable and loving in your presence. Above all, be a good listener Every person has a deep need to communicate their most intimate thoughts and concerns to another person, and invariably feels attracted to the person who listens to them most openly and honestly. Many men and women have found that paying close attention to what a person says is the highest form of flattery. As we said, listening builds trust, intimacy, and is the basis for excellent communication between two people. But when you establish a committed relationship, your entire orientation changes. You develop a longer-term perspective on your decisions and actions, become more responsible, start accumulating assets, and become more thoughtful in handling your money. Above all, you begin to feel more connected to other people and to your society. You have a greater sense of belonging to your community, feel more like part of a larger entity. Your self-esteem and self-confidence increase. The overall goal of every person is happiness and peace of mind, and their happiness and peace of mind are so indissolubly linked to whether or not they have a solid and stable relationship and whether they get along well with that other person. Everything you do to increase your ability to improve the quality of your relationship will also increase your self-confidence and self-esteem. A good relationship gives you the strength and courage to take on greater challenges and opportunities. Being happily involved with the right person clarifies your vision and makes you set ever larger goals. It gives you a sense of inner security that is expressed in higher levels of optimism and a positive mental attitude towards virtually everything you do. Each person is born incomplete and only truly finds happiness and fulfillment when they find the right person and establish a secure, lasting relationship with them. Your ability to succeed in your closest personal relationships affects your self-confidence in all other areas of your life. Most young people date, change, and experiment widely in their 20s. They go out with various members of the opposite sex while learning more about what they truly want in a relationship. At the same time, they frequently change jobs, spend all they earn and more, and often move from place to place. Everything we have talked about in general about getting along with other people applies equally strongly to your marriage and relationships with members of the opposite sex. For example, if you want to be happy with another person of your choice, become the type of happy person with whom he or she would like to be. Be cheerful and supportive. Make the other person feel important by validating and reinforcing their self-esteem. The easiest way to do this is simply to accept their most intimate beliefs and convictions. When you strive to change yourself, by focusing on the positive qualities you admire and aspire to, you immediately change the energy field that surrounds you and begin to attract into your life people who are more like your new ideals. The great mistake that most people make is trying to change other people to be more like they want them to be instead of working to change themselves. However, when you honestly think about how hard it is to change even the smallest thing about yourself, you will despair of being able to make significant changes in another person's behavior or personality. Your relationships in every aspect of your life reflect exactly the kind of person you are. Your relationships with whom in it include all your thoughts, feelings, attitudes, fears, and desires. Most of what you see in your relationship or marriage is actually a manifestation of what is happening inside you. Your relationships are a measure of the person you really are. Whenever you have difficulties in your relationship, you should ask yourself, what is it about me that makes this other person behave this way? Or you can ask, what is it about me that is causing this relationship to happen this way? As you change what happens inside you, you will see the same changes occurring in the people around you. When the relationship is good, both people cannot imagine not being together, and they don't even consider or discuss it. Each of them feels like half of an incomplete whole without the other, and are fully committed to being together forever. In fact, the decision to commit absolutely and without reservation to a relationship is an absolute requirement for happiness in that relationship. And while commitment does not guarantee total success in a relationship, lack of commitment almost certainly guarantees ultimate failure. Charles once wrote, "Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness." Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there's one elementary truth whose ignorance kills countless splendid plans and ideas. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issued from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. By changing yourself, you change them, becoming a better person. Your relationships improve by becoming a more patient, loving, and happy person. Your relationships become more relaxed, happier, and more loving. The law of attraction simply says that you are a living magnet and that you inevitably attract into your life people and circumstances in harmony with your dominant thoughts. All the people around you have been attracted to the kind of person you are. You can change the people around you by changing the kind of person you are. And the ability to communicate well is the absolute requirement for happiness between two people. In all studies of men and women who have been happy together for many years, it is concluded that spending long periods of uninterrupted time together is the glue that keeps the relationship together. Every person has a deep need to express themselves to another and to be listened to without judgment or interruptions. If we don't have the opportunity to get everything we talk about out of our system, it builds up inside us and we become frustrated. Almost all problems in relationships start because couples do not keep open lines of communication between them. Perhaps the quality that most ensures good communication between two people and guarantees a happy long-term relationship is the quality of commitment. Couples who are happy together are fully committed to each other. They consider the other person their best friend. When two people have the right relationship, they enjoy each other's company so much that there is no one else they would rather spend time with. At the outset, women have a richer, more complex, and interesting inner life. They are aware of many more details, subtleties, and nuances than men. They see more possibilities, ramifications, and consequences in a given situation than the male of the species. If men tend to be direct, women tend to be indirect. Women are more subtle and rounded in their approach to people and situations. If a woman has a problem with someone, she thinks of various ways the issue could be addressed to gain the other person's cooperation and avoid causing trouble. A man in the same situation would tend to address an issue or person directly. Now, either approach could succeed depending on the circumstances, but the evidence is that women are more successful than men in facing complex interpersonal situations. Women tend to be more emotional, intuitive, sensitive, and aware of how others think and feel than men when facing complex interpersonal situations. Women tend to organize their lives around their relationships, both in their environment and family, as well as their friends. They are much more sensitive to and affected by relationship issues than men. Below are some examples illustrating the differences between men and women in their way of seeing the world. A husband and wife fly to Orlando and rent a car with the intention of driving south to Miami. They enter the highway and she is the navigator looking at the map and traffic signs. He is unfamiliar with the roads and suddenly she sees a sign indicating they are heading north towards Jacksonville. She asks him, "Honey, is Miami on the way to Jacksonville?" He says, "No, Jacksonville is in the opposite direction." She says, "Well, we just passed a sign that says we're heading towards Jacksonville." "Doesn't matter," he says. "We're having a good time." The typical male tendency is to hit the accelerator and go faster when on the wrong path, while the female tendency is to stop and think, where are we and where do we want to go? Another example of differences between men and women is regarding shopping. When a man and woman go shopping together, all he wants to do is finish up quickly before the walls close in on him. All she wants to do is use shopping as an opportunity to communicate. When she shows him a blouse and asks for his opinion, she's inviting dialogue. Instead, he says, "It looks great. Go ahead, get it." After a couple of hours of shopping, a woman may not have bought anything. He's probably tearing his hair out by then, and she'll suggest they grab a coffee or lunch. He is still looking around and trying to find some way to close or complete this process. And until the shopping trip is over, the typical man will feel uncomfortable and a bit like a fish out of water. The difference here is that men are straightforward and want to complete tasks, while women are complex and subtle and are quite content to simply enjoy the process. Here's another example that shows the difference between men and women. A couple is on a road trip and they've been driving for 2 or 3 hours. As they drive past a McDonald's on the highway, she turns to him and says, "Honey, are you thirsty?" Without looking around, he simply replies no and continues driving. After a while, he notices she's not talking. When he asks her what's wrong, she responds nothing, indirectly. She was saying she was thirsty and suggesting they stop in his direct way. He just answered her question and kept driving. His mind was on reaching the destination and completing the trip. He completely ignored that she was thirsty and wanted to stop. By the way, when a man asks, "What's wrong?" and a woman responds, "Nothing," it's a clear sign that something is wrong. And if the man is smart, he'll pick up on this signal and work to find out what's going on. Since women are indirect, they tend to listen better and be more sensitive to relationships than men. According to Cosmopolitan magazine, men are 94% more likely to interrupt a woman who is speaking than a woman is to interrupt a man. When a man interrupts a woman, he's making a big mistake. Not only is he telling her not to take her seriously, but he's also devaluing and belittling her as a person by not respecting her when she speaks. Unintentionally, he's attacking her self-respect. And we know that every time our self-respect or self-esteem is attacked in some way, we tend to counterattack. We often get angry and defensive and counterattack in any way we can. This is just another example of the reciprocity law in action and governs almost all relationships. For men, one of the best ways to keep communication channels clear is to come home at night and resist the temptation to tell her everything about your day. Instead, he should ask her about her day. He should ask her, what did she do? Where did she go? Who did she talk to? And what happened as a result? He should encourage her to explain her whole day before continuing to tell her how his day went. This simple exercise of reversing the standard conversation roles will greatly contribute to improving the quality of the relationship. It's amazing how interesting her day has been and how much more enjoyable their relationship will be when they continue to share in this way. And by the way, I've never met a woman who wouldn't gladly throw the TV out the window if it meant he'd spend time watching TV, communicating with her, and interacting with the family. Here's another common fact that shows the difference between men's and women's needs and expectations. The woman tells the man about a problem she's having at work. He immediately moves to solve the problem and close it. He asks her a couple of questions about the situation and then tells her, why don't you do this, or you should just do that? What he doesn't realize is that when she tells him her problem, she doesn't necessarily want him to propose any solutions. The problem is simply presented as a device to start a dialogue so that the couple can communicate. If he gives her a quick solution, she will feel frustrated and he won't even know what happened. Men in general are very interested in completing tasks. Lack of closure is very stressful for them. They are more interested in discussing situations where there are clear conclusions or resolutions, and their conversations are often goal-oriented to finish and get things done. Men also tend to be straightforward and largely uncomplicated in their thinking. They tend to think and speak in terms of facts and conclusions. Any woman hearing this will immediately recognize that her way of thinking is very different from what I just described. Love is by far the most important thing of all, and if you do the things that loving people do, you'll enjoy the same feelings and the same results. As we come to the end of our discussion on how to make couple relationships stronger, let us make a new promise to ourselves and our partners. Remember that a strong relationship isn't built on big actions or short-lived passionate moments. It's built on the choices we make every day to put understanding, kindness, and real connection first. Tonight, we learned useful things, insights that will help us deal with problems, celebrate big moments, and grow closer to our loved ones. Let's start this journey together with a new sense of purpose and a firm determination to make love last. Knowing that you are truly loved and that you have earned it and deserve it saves you a tremendous amount of time and energy and allows you to focus on making your life a wonderful experience. Your willingness and ability to do whatever it takes to establish a satisfying long-term relationship with another person is the true measure of your performance as a human being. And you can never have more self-love than you can express to another person. Every time you think and act lovingly, your self-love and self-confidence increase. Active listening, understanding, and having the same goals are powerful things that can help us stay together and love each other for a long time. Before you leave tonight, I want you to think about the important ideas we've talked about and how you can apply them to your everyday life. Let's try to be the partners we want, creating a space where trust, respect, and love can grow naturally for each other. Thank you for being interested and honest. The keys we talked about tonight should help you and your partner have a future full of happiness, unity, and deep connection. The best thing a man can do in a relationship is to listen and ask questions like, why do you feel that way? The best thing a woman can do is realize that men approach things differently from women and take that into account. Remember, the most important thing in the world is love. First self-love, then love for others, then love